Good evening and welcome to the Carnegie Town Hall. This meeting of the City Council will begin in a few moments. The City Council meets on the first, second, and third Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. and serves as the city's policymaking and legislative body. Each meeting is governed by Robert's Rule of Order unless those guidelines conflict with city ordinance or charter. City Council meetings offer an opportunity for citizens to speak directly to their elected representatives. Those in attendance are invited to address the Council during the public input segment at the beginning of the agenda. At that time, any issue that is not subject to formal action later in the agenda can be addressed. Testimony that concerns a resolution or an ordinance's second reading is only allowed when those specific agenda items are being addressed by the Council. When addressing the Council, citizens should speak directly into the microphones at the podium and state their names for the record after being recognized by the Chair. To accommodate and respect all viewpoints, citizen comments are limited by ordinance to no more than 5 minutes each. Comments should be respectful and focused on providing new information that will benefit the Council's deliberative process. By city ordinance, all remarks must be addressed to the City Council as a body and not to any City Council member, including the mayor. The Chair reserves the right to limit the number of speakers. City Council meetings are broadcast live on CityLink and online at siouxfalls.org. Information regarding the City Council, its committees, meetings, briefings, and members is available by visiting siouxfalls.org/council or by calling the Council office at 605-367-8085. Thank you for your interest in Sioux Falls City Government.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. It is Tuesday, February 20th. Let's start by introducing you to your City Council.
Council members Staley, Erickson. Here. Erpenbach. Here. Kiley. Here. Neitzert. Here. Rolfing. Here. Selberg. Here. Starr. Here.
Councilors, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it. We are going to lead tonight's meeting with an invocation, and we're so pleased to have Reverend Brett Best back with us. Thank you, Reverend, for being back. He's from Emmanuel Baptist Church here in Sioux Falls. So what we'd ask you to do is please stand for the Reverend's invocation, and then please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Given the weather this week, I thought it would be good to lead with Psalm 147, verses 6 to 18, which reads as follows: He spreads the snow like wool and scatters the frost like ashes. He hurls down his hail like pebbles. Who can withstand his icy blast? He sends his word and melts them. He stirs up his breezes and the waters flow. I don't know about you, but I'm comforted to know that this thing called spring is a real thing and that God is in charge of its arrival. Please join me in an attitude of prayer. Loving Father, we thank you for all the seasons, the turns of your creation, as they each have joys and all reveal your hand. We gather tonight to tend to the business of your community, but first we pause to seek your grace on the communities of Broward County, Florida. Evil has raised its hand to strike down 17 souls, and an 18th victim is in custody. Our prayer is that evil has not won a victory, but that the lives lost are found by you. Our hope is that these sacrifices are not in vain, but that the blood shed might be seeds of unity that grow into a strong resolve to do right. For now, we ask you to impart wisdom and temperance to all who participate in this meeting. May you remind us of our commonality. Give us courage to do what is right, loving neighbor as self. With thanksgiving, I offer these prayers in Jesus' name. Let those who agree say, Amen. Amen.
Reverend Bess, thank you very much. Perfect. Councilors, our consent agenda, any motions or changes to that?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Starr.
Under item number 1, approval of contracts and agreements, it's the Health Department contract change to the Paramedics Plus contract, please.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor. Any others? A motion to approve?
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second.
Council Vice Chair Erickson has made a motion to approve our consent agenda, minus that one item, seconded by Councilor Rolfing. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you. Our regular agenda tonight, any changes to that?
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second, Neitzer.
Councilor Vice Chair Erickson has made a motion to approve our regular agenda tonight, seconded by Councilor Neitzer. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you. Folks, welcome. Good to have you here tonight. This is the public input portion of our meeting. If anybody would like to engage the council, just come on forward. We'd appreciate that. Just tell us your name, please. Keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. And then if you could just address the body as a whole, we'd appreciate that too. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, Bruce Danielson, and I have my youngest sister, Therese, with me. Jim, could you, when I give you the word, put that up. Therese and I and a couple of our other family members are involved in a rather interesting situation that actually has nothing to do with City of Sioux Falls business. And I wanted to tell you about it and let the people of Sioux Falls know about this, what's going on right now in the legislature in Pierre. And because of what we're going through, I'm just going to read this. I spoke last week at in the legislature to the Judiciary Committee of the House and talked about the dangers of the 2018 South Dakota House Bill 1204, the Uniform Power of Attorney Act. Why South Dakota is not ready for this version of the Uniform Power of Attorney. I am a former proponent who feels this legislation is not the answer we need. First, I believe in the model legislation HB 1204 was supposed to be based on. However, the version before you only protects the commercial guardianship business at the expense of the person who may or not have signed a power of attorney. I have witnessed and experienced this process at its worst. This legislation, as offered, will only protect the abusers of those who have needed assistance. When I recently asked the authors of this bill to consider modifications to this legislation, the answer was, well, you can sue if you have to, if you see a problem. A person being abused usually does not have the ability to fight. In many states where this legislation has been introduced, it has created a professional guardianship industry stripping people of their rights, property, and families. Frequently, what happens is the professionals strip the assets and then dump the carcass on the state Medicaid program. I have been an unpaid guardian, conservator, and power of attorney in multiple states for several people over 30 years. These people entrusted me to be their eyes, ears, and decision maker when they are most vulnerable. I've had to sit for hours over the course of years in some cases to know their deepest thoughts, fears as they aged. I've also been entrusted with their desires when the inevitable time comes to help each reach death with dignity. These are not easy decisions to make as a healthy person and impossible to make for most when society does not want to help them in the way they planned or documented. Go ahead, Jim. In each situation I have been part of, I have spent the time to learn how each wanted my help. This legislation takes these most personal and private choices away from the person impacted and allows complete strangers to make the choices while also benefiting them from their misfortune. Frauds, deceptions can happen without the ability of the person's family or power of attorney to interfere. A person can be locked up in a facility, their life controlled by strangers who have no interest other than the next check they can receive as the assets are stripped. Do you know how I know this? We have a family member currently locked up in a house in a town she never wanted to live, with people she doesn't like, not being able to talk to her children without supervision. We are family members We as family members listened to her cry out for help during phone calls asking for us to stop the abuse without anybody being able to do so. This law, as written, will further decriminalize the entire process just described. Worse, there is no requirement to follow standard and proven diagnostic procedures, such as those outlined in the DSM Diagnostic Standard Manual 4, before usurping a person's choices about their life and property. Nor is there a procedure to remove oneself from these types of guardianships or conservatorships. I know you're busy doing the work you do. You have a chance to read the article and the link I'm enclosing, and I'll be publishing the link. You'll see the abuses of the guardianship process, which are already happening in South Dakota. We had, just as a side note, we had a note that came from one of the other people involved in wanting to get their story out. This person has not been able to visit with her mother in 3 years because the power of attorney has locked up her mother, 97-year-old mother, in a nursing home, and they have no idea where this woman is at. And they've been calling the nursing homes, and the nursing homes have been told they can't tell the children where their mother is. The decision of how to live and how to die is one of the most personal decisions a person ever makes. It's a very scary time. Please help us fix the system by first not making it worse by passing Uniform Power of Attorney Act, HB 1204. The concept of bringing the process up to date is a good idea, but this legislation needs more work.
Bruce?
I will volunteer to participate in a summer working group chartered to fix the proposed information. And if you guys can help and look at the information that I've enclosed, I'd be happy to talk to anybody about it, and thank you.
Bruce and Treese, thank you. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Greetings. My name is David Zokaitis, and I like a little bit of color in life, as you can tell from the shirt. All right, I got 1.5 topics. We're going to talk about the Premier Center signing today because I got some new information, and, well, I have to correct my previous statements. It happens. So here's another picture of the siding. It looks kind of weird and bumpy, and this is how it looks in a kind of an overcast winter day, and I'm sure in a bright summer day where the sun is more overhead, the weird bumpiness would be more pronounced. But, you know, cloudy winter days tend to make everything look gray and neutral. Now, the information that I got came when I was talking to our friendly neighborhood Argus leader reporter, Joe Sneevy. He told me that the city had approved the flat siding on the curved building. That's what he told me. I hope he's right. But it was apparently a cost-saving measure. Well, so if the city approved it, we kind of got what we paid for. Okay. And in the previous settlement, the contractor gave the city $500,000. I suppose that was for aesthetics. Well, described as $1 million. Now, if these two slides are correct, then I think the city should return that $500,000. You can't blame somebody for doing what you told them to do. Just not okay. Integrity, you know, that kind of stuff. All right, so now we've got the flat siding that looks kind of tacky on a curved building, and I think it should be replaced. My recommendation is that the city pays for materials and we try to sell the old siding to somebody who's got a flat building. Seems like a sensible thing to do with it. But we've also got this problem of unaccounted for thermal stresses. The contractor, the structure was supposed to deal with thermal expansion and contraction in the siding fasteners, and they happen to forget that. Well, I think the contractor should go back and pay for new fasteners, and if he's got to pay for new fasteners, he might as well put up some new siding at the same time. Seems like a great way to do it. And I had planned to do another topic. I was going to play a music video, but it has been edited out because I guess it's a little too political. So maybe I'll tweak my music video and make it less political, and we'll try again. That's all right. So with that, I'll bid everybody a good evening like I usually do.
Thank you, David. Folks, anybody else? Welcome.
Sierra Broussard, Sioux Falls. This weekend, I was doing human trafficking. Thanks to a council member to call the police to get these people apprehended on warrants of $2,000 all the way to $10,000. Christine Cole, Christine Benton, she goes by 40 years old, white female, pimping out 18 to 20-year-olds. Police can't seem to catch her. She's been doing this for 2 years. I'm steadily on the streets looking for her as I'm going to take her down. We have people in motels and hotels, Motel 6, employees participating in human trafficking, prostitution, pimping, drug dealing. Over 200 needles of heroin found in a room. Domestic abuse is still going on in the world of today. I just had to bring someone to Watertown to get rid of her 48-year-old abuser that has a 2-year-old kid. She's 19 years old. The police department seems that they can't get the drugs and the prostitution off the streets. I don't know if they're getting a kickback or if the mayor is running this joint or what is happening here, but I'm sitting in drug houses with 9mm everywhere and cocaine sitting everywhere. And this has been going on for a year to 2 years, and they're sitting there on the central side like a Ronald McDonald drive-thru at noon. And they can't seem to get them and bust them. So what I'm going to do is on my Facebook page, because when I announce stuff publicly, then you see arrests being made here, I'm going to have to expose these people out on social media to get these people apprehended here. They're not keeping it low-key and they're not keeping it on the down low. These people that I'm dealing with, I'm going to say I don't know if they're being investigated by the Street Crimes Unit or the police department, I don't know. But something has to get done. This woman, Christine Cool, has been pimping out these people for quite some time. Heroin. Unreal how she's putting these people in captivity in hotels and motels. And nobody seems to be able to get them. Now, mind you, that these prostitutes have rolled on her many of times to the police department, and they still seem that they cannot seem to make a bust on Miss Christine Cool. So I'm just letting you know that, and the public to know that if you know Christine Cool, to please call me, and I will make sure that the police do their job and apprehend Miss Christine Cool along with her son that's doing human trafficking here in Sioux Falls. Thank you.
Folks, anybody else? Welcome.
Scott Harrisman, Sioux Falls. I was pretty surprised today at the informational meeting when Sioux Falls Fire Department Chief Brad Goodrow came and asked to get his fire department ALS certified. What even surprised me even more was the fact that one of the city councilors who actually helped approve the contract with Paramedics Plus didn't even know that our fire department was not allowed to do ALS under the contract. They were only allowed to do basic life support, not advanced life support. That startled me a little bit. Anyway, the program that Mr. Goodrow wants to put in place, which I hope that you guys approve of, is one nice little stepping stone to going public ambulance all the way. Now, we're pretty much going to be almost there after that program. The only thing you'd really have to add is some more parking to the fire department, or to the fire stations and ambulances. You'd have the staff. They're already showing up now. We're already paying them as taxpayers to show up now. They're going to have advanced life support. They won't have to worry about getting in trouble for using it. They already know how to, a lot of them know how to use it already. And we can reimburse ourselves or even break even on an ambulance service, so it would be self-sufficient. And it would be better for the patients and the taxpayers. Taxpayers would save money, patients would save money. So I hope that you guys approve, future council, this program, and we go with the public ambulance service and stop dancing around playing games with private ambulance services. There was a thing last week that apparently the finance director was chomping at the bit to get things, to tell us the truth about the way the end of the year finance reports were released. Well, I'll tell you, I went and looked this up. Apparently, They're always done at the same time. No, they're not. In 2015, it was released on May 29th. In 2016, it was released on June 27th. And in 2017, it was released on April 6th. There's no timeline. It's released at a different time every year. I guess what I'm trying to say is it could be released now. So this game to saying that we've never released it, we've always released it at the same time is baloney. I went and looked at the documents. They were all released at different times. Release the report already. As for, I saw Sanford's expanding the Sanford Sports Complex. We should have built a public pool out there. They're probably going to build a public pool out there. You know, some people say, well, we can't get buses out there. Well, then expand the routes to get buses out there. It was one of the dumbest things we ever did was build that pool in the center of town. We should have built it at the Sanford Sports Complex. We have tennis, soccer, football. We're going to have rugby, gymnastics, basketball. I could go on and on about all the things that are going on out there. And we have a swimming pool in the middle of the town. And we could have had Sanford pay for the thing. Save the taxpayers $25 million. Lastly, I want to talk about, if we still have some time here, there seems to be some confusion. I listened to these candidate forums with the people running for mayor and running for council. I don't think some of them understand what their job roles are going to be. The mayor is in charge of the administration of the city. He's in charge of making sure the city is run well, that public safety is handled. That's the job of the mayor. The job of the council is to set policy. Now, I can see why these candidates are confused, because for the past 8 years, we've had a mayor set policy. That's not the way the charter works, folks. It is time that these candidates understand that if you're running for council, your job is to set policy. If you're running for mayor, your job is to run the city and its employees. Let's get back on track in this city after May 15th. Thank you.
Folks, anybody else?
Steven Ciano, I'm back. Pretty much the same complaint next week. But I will take it in a different direction somewhat, because you people have made an issue of this pro-military, pro-VA position with the VA cemetery, where it's my understanding you're looking to steal land from the people of Sioux Falls for the VA. Okay, yeah, I understand there's going to be a matching grant, but still, there's no reason that I can see that a VA cemetery should be in the city. There's plenty of land outside of the city that can be gotten for a lot less money, and it wouldn't impede the growth of the city. And anyone looking to visit their deceased veteran relatives will be able to make the trip, presumably, at their choice, in accordance with their abilities and desires. There's no, as I see it, good foundation for having promoted in the city a VA cemetery. Also, this pro-military, pro-VA, apparently, when the VA succeeds in killing me, you'll have a place to put my body, whether it's cremated or buried. And this is not right. You have city attorneys defending the policies of neglecting the public, the needs of the public. I am being discriminated against. I've made it clear to you people, and my life is on the line. VA has taken action expected to cause my death. Somebody has reportedly stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's the institution created by Denny Sanford, and who I understand bought out Sioux Valley Hospital for $400 million. Drop in the bucket, I suppose, when you look at the return on that investment. And then there's the center, which those before me have been discussing. Why didn't he just buy that outright? And also, if the city money is involved in that, why not just Get it from him. And also, your salaries are paid consequent to a contract to serve the public. Where you don't, as in my case, and many others have been brought to light, you are committing a fraud. You are committing an offense against the public. It's called treason.
Folks, anybody else?
Tim Stanga. You know, it seems like week after week after week you hear about people talk about affordable housing. One thing I'd like to see the city council do is when it comes down to knocking down a 900 square foot house, to look at how much that person is charging to rent out that house or the cost of that property. I'd like to see the city council make a, how do you want to say it, an ordinance that every house that is tore down that is around 900 square feet, that either they put up 5 years of taxes towards housing, or they put so much per house that they tear down towards affordable housing. So that way we can get people into affordable housing. Right now, we are short. And to be able to put people in affordable housing on rental properties, taxes are going up so high that you can't have affordable housing with taxes the way they're going up. I talked to my neighbors, and they're on income level. Every time the taxes go up on the property, their payments go up on the house. And the only way that I look at being able to get some kind of affordable housing is to be able to, every time you tear down a house, you put so much into a fund, and you pay back. You know, we say we have affordable housing, but it's government subsidized housing. The only way that we're going to get affordable housing is if the government comes in, builds their own building, takes everybody out of the equation, and then they charge a person a flat fee to live on that property. And then it's paid back to the government, where the government makes their money back. And it shouldn't be that way. I'm just hoping that we can look at it and try to work on that.
Thanks, Tim. Folks, anybody else? Thank you. Councilor Starr, we're going to go to your item next. It involved, well, Councilor Starr, I'll let you drive the conversation, sir.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
I guess my question is probably for Director Franken, if you don't mind, to give us a little bit of background why this change is being made. We received on Thursday a letter from Paramedics Plus stating that they're changing, making a transfer of ownership. And one of the things in that process that concerned me was, what due diligence did we do to investigate the new company that we're going to change the contract to? And maybe that's a city attorney's question. I apologize. Maybe I can have Keith answer that and do that. I guess I'm curious of how we make this transfer and what we've done to know the new partnership that we'll have in place.
Sure. Well, it's actually provided in the contract with Paramedics Plus, between the Paramedics Plus, Jill Franken, Public Health Director with the city. It is a provision in the contract and the RFP that's part of the contract to allow for a sale, allow for Paramedics Plus to be purchased by another entity, which I wouldn't be able to answer your question why, probably. I think that would be left for those who are actually doing this acquisition. But Keith has been working with the entities involved to assure this goes according to the contract requirements. So I don't know if there's anything else specifically that you want in terms of that.
Well, I think
for information.
The
Keith,
tough spot.
Councilor, maybe I can help. Keith, is there anything that you did or that Jill did to provided any due diligence on the potential new company that is now going to be working with us? I think that was the direct question of Councilor Starr, and if the answer is no, say no, but I think that's his question.
Well, I think the due diligence that we do is really what is required of us as a health department, and that is to be assuring that they're complying with every aspect of their contract. providing the service to the city of Sioux Falls. And they have been meeting and exceeding every contract requirement that we have in place. This is a wholly owned company that's going to be being sold to another, and it's going to be maintaining the same ownership. The same president will be Ron Schwartz, the same vice president of Mark Postma. Mike Bureau will continue to be the COO at the local level, and we have been assured that there will be no change into the operating structure or what we have enjoyed for ambulance service. I hope that can answer your question.
Councilor Starr?
Well, it does, but it doesn't. And the hardest part is that the questions that I have involve legal issues that we probably need to address in a different format. The council has the ability to do that, and where my concern's coming tonight is that I have to be very, very prudent. I don't want to discourage this group, and I don't want to say anything discouraging towards them because I don't know who they are. I've done, since Thursday afternoon, I've had the chance to do a little bit of research, the quick, as my pastor says, his favorite research tool, Google, and getting some of that. So knowing that Councilor Staley's not here tonight, so I guess I can throw out the terminology that she uses, or I'll be very careful about that as well, but knowing who we're doing business with. When we negotiated this contract, we were very specific of looking at the financial background, who we were doing business with. One of the driving factors that I've been told as part of that was the East Texas Medical Center was a medical group who was part of the background of the company, and that they have yes, we're dealing with Paramedics Plus, who's a for-profit company, but they're owned by a medical group, people who understand medicine and public service and public safety. So my question is, I'm trying to figure out who these people are that we're doing and making sure that we've done good due diligence of their financials, their background, and to say that, people don't change in mergers is, you hear that from other groups when companies merge, people come and go and leadership changes, and you try to make that difference. So I'm just concerned that I don't know who we're moving forward with. The other question that I can form in a more direct way, have we talked, because we have a regional emergency medical group, have we talked to the county as part of moving forward with this too? Because I would assume part of them contracting with Paramedics Plus for the rural parts of our county, they would have that. So have we had any discussions with the county as a group that moving forward? Because I think they received the same notification that we did on Thursday afternoon.
I would ask Mike Bureau to answer that question, but as the city of Sioux Falls, we have not. We've been charged with and maintain a responsibility to assure the safety of our residents by providing high-quality EMS services, and so that's what we've been focused on. But Mike, do you want to?
Sure, Mike Bureau, Paramedics Plus. This morning I had the pleasure of attending the County Commission meeting. At that point, it was placed as a notification on the agenda. Went forward, it was noted. I was there present to answer questions. There were no questions from the County Commission, and they moved on to the next agenda item.
But they didn't take any formal action to approve the change in ownership in the contract? Am I misunderstanding?
You are correct. They took no formal action. Licenses in Minnehaha County are provided by Ordinance, and that has to do with their license application. And based upon that process, there was no formal action noted other than a notification was necessary within the agenda, which was done this morning.
Gotcha. I'll defer if anyone else has any other questions.
Councilor Urbanbach?
Bureau, will the name of your company, the company that is serving Sioux Falls, will your name change?
There will be a name change, but it will continue as a DBA as Paramedics Plus.
So that we're not repainting ambulances and
We are not. They will remain teal. You will probably see a brand change in terms of our pie cone-like symbol. I would imagine that will transition off. That is copyrighted to East Texas Medical Center Regional Health Systems. So you'll see that change. But that would be the only branding change that I would expect at this time.
And it's your understanding, and your understanding goes as far as it goes, right? But you're still in the same job and you're still living in Sioux Falls and serving Sioux Falls the way that our contract with you and your company is stated. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. So I remain in COO, as Jill said, Ron Schwartz is remaining president. Mark Postman is remaining vice president. There's been no change in any of our other 3 operations. All those COOs are in their present positions and are remaining there, along with all our managers and directors below us in all operations.
Thank you.
Council, would anybody want to make a motion to approve this item?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I would
Starr.
move to defer this item to March 6th so that we could make a request to, well, I'll end there and then
thank you. And a motion to defer this item to March 6th. That has died for lack of a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'll
Counselor?
move approval.
Thank you.
Second, Rolfe.
Been a motion to approve this item and has been seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
No.
That is passed 6-1. Thank you. Item 30.
Item 30, special one-day malt beverage license for Siouxland Heritage Museums to be operated at Pettigrew Home and Museum, 131 North Duluth Avenue for History Happy Hour on February 22nd, 2018.
Council, would anybody want to make a motion to approve this item?
Move to approve Erickson.
Thank you,
Second,
Council Vice Chair.
Erpenbach.
Thank you, Councilor Erpenbach. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 31.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 36 to require proposed management contracts for the city's public facilities or properties be presented at either an informational meeting, working session, or standing committee of the City Council 7 days prior to its consideration.
Mr. Mayor.
Council Vice Chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is, as I stated at the first reading, this was a proposal that Councilor Selberg and I really sat down and put our heads together to try to come up with how can we get access to information sooner. Oftentimes we have some frustration that we don't have the actual contract in hand prior to 5 o'clock on a Friday because that's when it becomes available. That's the absolute deadline. So what we're doing is we're asking to move that deadline up. Not only does this create access for the council, but it creates access to the public. It will be listed on the agenda for the informational meeting, the working session, or the standing committee. And so we'll bring it not just to the public, but also the council. So I'd ask for your support.
Council Vice Chair, thank you. Before I go to the council, Councilor Selberg, sorry, sir. Is there anybody in the audience who wanted to speak to this item? Welcome.
Scott Harris with Sioux Falls. Well, I think it's great that the public and the council get to see a contract 7 days earlier than normal. They still aren't negotiating the contract, and really that's kind of the problem here. When the golf contract came about, Councilor Neitzert mentioned the fact that there was a policy change in the way we were going to do the golf contract. We were going to do a management instead of a lease, or one or the other, I can't remember. And I really believe what the council should be doing is, as I mentioned in my public input, setting policy. And if there's going to be a major change in an RFP that's been done in some way for 23 years, the council should be made aware of that and change the RFP before the RFP process even starts. So they're well aware of what kind of RFP is being put out there before it gets thrown in their laps, you know. So yes, this is a good thing. I hope you pass it. You know, we get an extra 7 days. But all you're doing is getting an extra 7 days to look at a contract you never even got to negotiate to begin with.
Folks, anybody else? Welcome.
This right here is really and truthfully doesn't do a single thing for an RFP. What it's doing is just giving you 7 days to look at a contract that you can look at one day and say, I don't like it, that I can't change. I can't change the contract because why? It was negotiated in not good faith. I look at the contract for the golf course as I'm starting to see what the citizens of Sioux Falls got stuck with was a bad deal. Why don't we go a little bit further? Why don't we have, let's say we're putting it out for a bid, why don't you have the people come in here, present their bid to to all the city council, and then the city council takes a couple weeks and makes a decision on who should get the contract. That's called good faith. This right here is a Band-Aid for a problem that, yeah, the city council has created and they're trying to take care of something, but this absolutely does nothing for it. Again, let's have the people come up, present their presentation. The city council can make up their own decision. It doesn't take the mayor to put people together to make a decision that all city councilors have to live with and the citizens have to live with, and find out that we got a dud. I just think that we got to think about this one, and we really got to think about it, because I think it's time that the city council does a job that they're hired to do. Thank you.
Folks, anybody else? Councilor Silver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome.
I was just going to add to what Councilor Erickson had said in regards to some of the conversation that was had last week and in between on this ordinance. I mean, it was brought forward not as a fix-all. It was brought forward to address a specific common concern of the council, and we thought it would take a step in the right direction. So it doesn't seem like a lot, I guess, but again, I think it was something trying to move to a solution to a problem. I know that I will appreciate having a few more days to read a couple 100-page contract, and kudos to Councilor Erickson for her work on this and having me be included, and appreciate your vote tonight. Thank you.
Councilor, would you want to make a motion to approve this item? Councilor Erickson?
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilor Neisert?
You know, I just want to say I've been on 3 RFPs now, and there are always things that can be improved, and I'm thinking really hard about how we can improve it because there's been so much controversy. But I just have to say that none of them have been smoke-filled rooms. They've all been done very objectively with everybody in the room looking at all of the same information. Not once did I get a voicemail, a text, a message, a nudge from the mayor. He's been completely out of it in all of them. And the state does it all the time. So, but there's always ways that we can improve it, but there are upsides and downsides. There are things that it sounds lovely to open up contracts and, you know, at the podium and then essentially have it all in public. But there's pros and cons to all that. You've got to think about that. You sit in the room and you make the most objective decision you can with a wide-ranging group of people without a lot of essentially, you know, passions and people trying to lobby you and doing things where you might make decisions that are not objective, but they may be based on emotion and get you into some problems with the law and the bidding laws. So it's something we still need to talk about, but there's just a lot of misinformation, and having been on a number of them already, I just kind of want to defend the process a little bit, as unpopular as that probably is.
Councilor Rolfing.
I'd like to reiterate what Councilor Neitzer is saying, and also to say, if we were to do all the RFPs that are done and all of them brought here, this council position that we've all been lucky enough and honored enough to be elected to would have to become a full-time position just because of that, with the research and everything that goes on with those, which means, you know, you're going to end up with a bunch of old people like me doing this, because most of you guys work full-time jobs. And I know the guys that are talking about that, Ms. Stanga, you wouldn't want 8 like me up here, right? And so thank you. The system works. Yes, it needs to be improved, but it does work.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg? Yes. Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Item 32.
Set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. for item 32. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at the southeast corner of West Benson Road and I-29 from the I-1 Light Industrial District to the C4 Commercial Regional District, petition number 7972-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 8-0.
Jason Bieber representing Planning and Building Services. This is an application by Jacob Kwasny with Lloyd Companies. The owner is B&K Properties, LLC. It is located at the southeast corner of West Benson Avenue and Interstate 29. It's roughly 30 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they are looking at constructing a large retail development with roughly 6 lots.
Jason, thank you. Would anybody want to set a date of hearing, second reading for Tuesday, March 6th for this item?
So moved, Erickson.
Second, Rolfing.
Council Vice Chair has made that motion, seconded by Councilor Rolfing. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 33.
Set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. for item 33. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at the southwest corner of East 18th Street and Darrow Place from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the C3 Commercial Community District, petition number 7973-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 8-0.
The applicant here is Brian Kerr. The owner is Makenda LLC. It is located south of East 18th Street and west of South Darrow Place in the Jolly Farm development. It's roughly 2.32 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they're looking at constructing a 4-story, roughly 79-room hotel on this property.
Jason, thank you. Council, would anybody want to set a date of hearing, second reading for Tuesday, March 6th for this particular item?
So moved.
Thank you, Council Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Rolfing. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 34.
Set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. for item 34. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 5600 West University Trail from the RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban District to the Pedestrian-Oriented Planned Unit Development District, petition number 7975-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 8-0.
The applicant and owner here is Jared Smart with Smart Construction. It's located west of North Marion Road and south of West 60th Street. It is roughly 1.09 acres in size. The purpose of this application is the applicant is looking at adding this into the University Hills pedestrian-oriented planned unit development with a future use of a retail strip center on the property.
Jason, thank you. Council, would anybody want to set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6th for this particular item?
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second.
Council Vice Chair, thank you. Council Chair, thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Item 35.
Set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. for item 35. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 3015 South Minnesota Avenue from the C3 Commercial Community District to the C4 Commercial Regional District, petition number 7978-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 8-0.
The applicant and owner here is Billion LLC. It is located at 3015 South Minnesota Avenue. It's about 2.26 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant is looking at raising the existing Billion Kia building. And then as you've probably seen, they have moved the Billion Kia dealership to the old Lewis building. And then the site where the existing Billion Kia building will be raised, that's outlined in red, that will become a motor vehicle display, sales, and service for the Kia dealership.
Jason, thank you. Councilor Neitzer.
Thank you. I did read a note in the planning document about access points. Can we make sure that access points are closed off when this happens?
Yep, engineering's been working with Billion. We've had several meetings about closing off several access points along this specific stretch. And then I believe it'll be a divided median and we're looking at getting additional right-of-way, which Billion has been pretty cooperative with us along this stretch. So
Okay, great, because in exchange for this, it's important as we move forward and you redevelop, you're closing off access points on these limited access arterials.
Yeah, especially on Minnesota Avenue. So
Yeah, okay, thanks. Move to set the second reading, Neitzer.
Councilor Neitzer, thank you.
Second, Erickson.
Council Vice Chair, thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Item 36.
Set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. for item 36. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at the northeast corner of West 12th Street and South Marion Road from the I-1 Light Industrial and C3 Commercial Community Districts to the I-1 Light Industrial and C3 Commercial Community Districts, petition number 7980-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 8-0.
The applicant owner here is also Billion LLC. It is located at the northeast corner of West 12th Street and South Marion Road. It's roughly 2.65 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they're looking at moving an existing warehouse building over to their existing Billion auto repair shop. Then they will redevelop the immediate corner for a future gas station.
Thanks, Jason. Council, would anybody want to set a date of hearing and second reading for March 6th for item 36?
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second, Rolfing.
Council Vice Chair, thank you. Council Rolfing, thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 37, please.
Set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. for item 37. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located east of North Westport Avenue and south of West 54th Street North from the AG Agriculture District to the S2 Institutional Campus Plan Unit Development District, petition number 7981-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 8-0.
The applicant owner here is Austin Parks with Sanford Health. It's located just east of the City and Minnehaha County Archive Building, just north of the existing Sanford Sports Complex. It's roughly 20 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they are looking at doing future expansion of the Sanford Sports Complex.
Thanks, Jason.
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second, Selberg. Council Vice Chair Erickson has made a motion to set that date of hearing and second reading for March 6th, and it was seconded by Councilor Neitzert. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 38.
Set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. for item 38. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 30, City Council, Subchapter Organization and Procedure, by adding subsection B to Section 30.029 to require delivery of any notices of intent to sue to the City Council.
Council, is it you, Council?
Yeah. Yes,
Councilor, go right ahead,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr.
You're
Mayor.
welcome.
This ordinance change we brought forward as a way to increase transparency, give the council access to information. Basically, if anyone is starting the process of deciding to sue a municipality according to state statute, they send a letter, and statute actually says to send it to the finance director. In a lot of municipalities in the state of South Dakota, the finance officer is usually the person who is in charge. But what this does in a very simple way is once someone sends a letter of an intent or a notice to sue the City of Sioux Falls, that letter or that information will be relayed to the council within 7 days. That information is already public information and a public record. This just increases the amount of notice and that the council would receive notice within 7 days. Really simple, straightforward way to increase transparency and the information that's going on within the city. Went back and forth, did get some really good input from one council member who pointed out that it probably is one of those things that the information's there. If you want it, you should have to ask for it. And I spent some time this afternoon really thinking that over, but I think overall it makes sense for us as a council to receive that in the form of a memo from the city attorney's office. I did work with the city attorney's office also to make sure that the 7 days gives them ample time to provide that to the city council. So I would encourage your vote to set a date of hearing for second reading.
Can I get a second on that? Is that a motion?
I would move that we.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
March 6th.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Erickson. Yes, Councilor Erickson.
I have a question just for the city attorney as we work through some of that, because I heard some of the same feedback. It just sparked some questions, and so I have some questions as far as, we get this notice, it's already public, and we get the email. What is your advice, or what happens if a city councilor reaches out to somebody that has notice that they have an intent to sue? Can we be held responsible? Does that put you in a predicament? talk to me a little bit about that. I guess I just want to hear it publicly so we all hear the same thing at the same time.
Sure. Those notice of intents to sue are public records, so any citizen or counselor can certainly review those or look at them if they want to.
Okay.
The issue comes about then once that information is known, if there is reaching out, when the state law requires the mayor or the city finance director to be the one to receive those notices. They are then sent to the city attorney's office and also to the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance, who is our insurer. And so at that point, it's not an active lawsuit, but it's notice that the lawsuit may be pending. If that notice is not served upon the city within 180 days, they're precluded from bringing that lawsuit. And so the issue comes about then once that is known, if there is discussions with that person that's bringing that potential claim, that could be used against the city in litigation. It may not, depending on the nature of the conversations, what is said, what is not. Many of these times, the notice of intent to sue are drafted by legal counsel, and so there's attorneys involved, and many of these negotiations are turned over to our insurance carrier, and so they're not directly handled depending on what the allegations are by the city attorney's office, and so that could complicate matters with our insurance company with regards to settling a claim.
Okay. So would it be, and I don't know if this is a question for you or just hypothetically speaking, we could technically go in and ask the legislature to change this, or we could ask you. I mean, they're already public documents, so they go to the mayor or the city finance officer per state law. You're the gatekeeper, and then you send it out as requested, or in this case, then we'd require you to send them to us once a week for that. And oftentimes, isn't it true too that with the 180-day deadline, if people are going to sue, they need to get that in. They may never sue. They may never turn that into a lawsuit, but it's just really their way to make sure that they meet that 180-day deadline in case they do want to take it further.
Absolutely. Many of them, I don't have numbers, but everyone that's filed doesn't lead to a lawsuit.
Right.
And so they're required, it's a procedural hurdle that essentially that person is required to notify the city that there may be litigation pending down the road. And so it doesn't necessarily lead to a lawsuit, but it's that procedural step. And right now, any citizen can request them. This ordinance would certainly put the affirmative duty on the city attorney's office to disseminate them within the 7 days.
Can I ask one more follow-up?
Oh, please.
So of the out of the 180 days, if they do not wish to sue, you don't get notice saying, okay, it's just the 180 days lapses, and you just kind of know that that one's not going to turn into a lawsuit.
Let me clarify that. The notice has to be filed within 180 days.
I'm sorry, that's
the
what I meant.
lawsuit doesn't have to be initiated within.
So it's a waiting game then?
Within that 180 days. It's a waiting game based on the statute of limitations and when a lawsuit would have to be brought.
Per each item. Thank you.
Correct.
All right. Thank you for answering the questions. I just needed to make sure we all heard it at the same time, at the same thing, just so we know that we can certainly be in some interesting times if we take the list and start calling. And I don't think anyone here is advocating for that. It's just we need to be mindful of that we're not going out and doing that. Thank you.
Councilor Bach.
Well, and my question then is related to what Councilor Erickson was just saying, is that is there in law somewhere, and I think I know the answer to this, but again, need to hear it out loud, is there not some place that says, you know, Councilor Rolfing gets this notice of intent to sue, and he calls up the plaintiff or the potential plaintiff and says, hey, dude, you really shouldn't be doing that, you know, and starts talking to the people that might or might not be involved in this potential lawsuit. Aren't we barred from doing that kind of thing legally? Are we not, or as a city council, can we just, I mean, we know it's public information. Why don't I just call him up and give him a hard time about it?
Lawyers are certainly precluded from talking to people that are represented by counsel. That doesn't necessarily apply to all other parties in cases. It can certainly complicate things, but if Councilor Rolfing or Councilor Erpenbach were to reach out to a party, that wouldn't necessarily be a violation of any law. It would be a violation of attorney ethics if somebody from the city attorney's office would do so, but there's other provisions that would allow for conversation amongst other people. It would just complicate the resolution of that matter.
Makes it more difficult if they do end up suing, and then that council member may not have been a witness in the case, but now because they've put themselves into it, that's some of the complication that you're kind of hinting at.
Correct. That person could be brought into the lawsuit depending on what the conversations are said, or be required to testify based about the nature of that conversation, or if there's an admission of liability. All sorts of things could come in based on a case-by-case basis of what the nature of that conversation is.
Okay, just again, one of those cautions for public servants.
Councilor Rolfing.
Yeah, that would admission of guilt, we get one of these, and it's a friend of mine, and I call him, and of course I get half the story, and I don't have the other half of the story, and I say, geez, sounds like we're guilty on that one. I'm sure we're going to pay it. We're out in left field, right? We're on the hook.
Yeah, that certainly wouldn't be the only piece of evidence, but it would be an important piece of evidence that would be detrimental to the city.
And I'm just saying, folks, with the propensity of some of now and potential council members to not follow the things that are at the bottom of your emails, I can't go along with this. And it's not that I don't want transparency, but I think we're just putting ourselves into a situation here where future councilors could get, and maybe myself could get in trouble, and I don't want to know that.
Councilor Neitzer, sir.
Yeah, I will send this to a second reading. That being said, I do see, there's pros and cons here. The interesting thing is, and maybe this is a question for the city attorney, if the city is served with a lawsuit, do we get notice as a council? I don't think we
I don't believe a
do.
notice is
So
automatically
it would be rather ironic that we would get notices of possible intent to sue, but we don't get notice that we actually have been sued. That's somewhat interesting. But I don't know if it hurts anything, but on the other hand, there are some possible unintended consequences. And then again, the idea that, frankly, I'm getting emails about slip and fall lawsuits that may never happen. Mm-hmm. So just thoughts.
Councilor Selberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
I'm probably way oversimplifying this, but are you saying in all these different answers pretty simply that this could open up a lot of cans of worms?
It could make things more difficult going forward, absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, or I'm sorry, it's twice I did that, I apologize.
Councilor Starr just wants, anybody else? Councilor Starr.
Yes, I think that the things that we're talking about concerned, at least when the four of us joined the council 2 years ago, when we sat with our training with the city attorney, we were very specific about not admitting liability. It goes through the whole process and the training part of being a counselor. We're given confidential information just about every day. And it's difficult sometimes that when a constituent has a concern and we know something in confidence that we're not allowed to share as well when we know the entire story. So it's a big part of this job that we do, is having access to that information. This doesn't make it any more difficult, the information that we're receiving as part of this. It just opens that up. And Councilor Knight said I would sure welcome that maybe as a friendly amendment in a couple of weeks that we do add intent, or actually when we are served for a lawsuit, that might fit in this same section of the ordinance quite well.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
No.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 6-1. Item 39.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the placement of sculptures on public property for an internationally recognized visual arts program known as Sculpture Walk Sioux Falls 2018.
Good evening, Russ.
Good evening, Mayor, City Councilors. My name is Russ Sorensen, Urban Planner with the City of Sioux Falls. Along with me this evening is Jim Clark, the Executive Director of Sculpture Walk. Sioux Falls Sculpture Walk program is celebrating its 15th year and has grown from 34 sculptures in 2004 to 57 sculptures in 2018. In the 14 years of Sculpture Walk program, we've had over 777 sculptures that have been displayed in our downtown area. For the 2018 Sculpture Walk program, there were 148 entries that were received and juried by the Sculpture Walk Committee. The 2018 Sculpture Walk program is again an international and countrywide program whereby 2 countries, Canada and Belgium, and 16 states are represented. In this year's program, there are 6 new artists. 9 sculpture artists are from South Dakota and 4 are from Sioux Falls. The 2018 Sculpture Walk takedowns and installations are planned in April, and installations are planned for May 5th. There were 57 sculptures and 12 alternates selected and recommended for the 2018 placement in our downtown area on public right-of-way or on publicly owned property. The general downtown locations are the same as in previous years, and you were provided the opportunity to review those sculptures this afternoon in the unveiling of the program. The Sculptural Walk program represents a broad collaboration of individuals, entities, and public and private. Downtown Sioux Falls, the Sioux Falls Arts Council, and the Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Sioux Falls. Over 100 businesses and individuals contribute annually to the financial strength of Sculptural Walk. Over 50 volunteers help make Sculptural Walk a success every year. The exhibition of public art in the Central Business District is recommended and encouraged by the City of Sioux Falls 2025 Downtown Plan, the Sioux Falls Arts Council's Sioux Falls Imagined Cultural Plan. The Sculptural Walk program is significant in that it helps create a first impression of our downtown area by bringing visitors downtown to see a large number of sculptures for outdoor display. It enhances the beauty and the culture of our downtown area for all citizens and visitors to enjoy. From May through September, the public votes for the People's Choice sculpture, and that sculpture is then purchased by the City of Sioux Falls up to $20,000. We have more than 300,000 people visit our Sculpture Walk program every year. After being displayed in Sculpture Walk, many can be purchased or leased through the Sculpture Walk program, and that's why you see so many pieces that are still around in our Sioux Falls community. Several departments, including Human Services, ADA Accessibility Review Board, Public Works, Engineering, Risk Management and Planning, along with the Visual Arts Commission, have conducted their respective reviews and are supportive of this year's program for the 2018 program. This concludes our presentation, unless there are questions.
Russ, thank you. Appreciate it. Before I go to the council, anybody in the audience want to speak to this particular item? Councilors? Yes, Council Chair.
Russ and Mr. Clark presented earlier this afternoon at 4 o'clock, and I note that to date we've had 777 sculptures placed on city property, and we have an additional 57 coming beginning this April. I mean, it's just a phenomenal program, and I hear nothing but praise for it from residents as well as from the many visitors that the City of Sioux Falls receives. So I would like to thank the members of the Sculpture Walk, especially Mr. Jim Clark, for his efforts with this project. Thank you.
Council Chair, would you want to make a motion to approve this resolution?
I would love to. I move.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Council Rolfing. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 40.
Thank you.
A resolution approving the release of a permanent easement located in Lot 1, Block 1A, Brown Drug Addition to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, and that part of vacated Mall Avenue lying adjacent thereto.
Good evening, Council. Kurt Peppel, Public Works Engineering. The easement in question is located near East 10th Street and Mall Avenue in downtown. It's on the site of the new parking ramp. Easement was created when First Avenue was vacated in 1999. There's an existing storm drainage pipe in the easement currently, and that is being relocated with the parking ramp project later this spring. And once that is taken care of, the easement would no longer be needed. So we are asking to have it removed now. City engineering easement release procedures have been followed. Engineering supports the easement release.
Thanks, Kurt. Anybody want to speak to this item? Councilors?
Move approval, Rolfing.
Councilor Rolfing's made a motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Council Chair Kiley. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 41.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving diagonal parking on 7th Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Heath Hofteser, Principal Traffic Engineer for the City of Sioux Falls. The proposal for this resolution is to allow diagonal parking on the north side of 7th Street for the block east of Weber Avenue. They'll be indenting up to the sidewalk with the parking stalls so that there'll be enough room to have diagonal parking on the north side.
Heath, thank you. Anybody in the audience want to speak to this item? Councilors?
Move to approve, Neitzer.
Second, Rolfing.
Councilor Neisert's made a motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Councilor Rolfing. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Item 42.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving diagonal parking on Phillips Avenue.
For this diagonal parking resolution, we're requesting to put diagonal parking on Phillips Avenue for the block south of 2nd Street on Phillips Avenue. This would be on the west and east side of the street. This would be similar to the parking that's found farther south on Phillips Avenue the next couple of blocks, just kind of extending what we've been planning for the uptown area where on the side with the park and the side where the development's occurring.
Thank you, Heath. Folks, anybody want to speak to the council on this item? Yes, Councilor, or 1 second, sir. Anybody? Councilor Neitzert.
Do you know how many spaces we're going to gain out of this?
There's none right now and I don't have the map that shows the exact amount, but it's quite a few.
And this was the part that I think Lloyd is doing as part of the Cascade project?
Yep, that's correct. And like on the east side, that's where the kind of the detour is around the construction area right now. That's the area that'll be turned into the diagonal parking on the east side.
Okay, great. Move to approve, Neitzert.
Councilor Neitzert, thank you.
Second,
Second by Councilor Selberg. Councilor Erbenbach.
Question then, can you talk about where is the future Levitt Pavilion in relation to the picture that's on our screens now? And will the future council be approving the same sort of parking by the Levitt Pavilion?
Yeah, so the stretch of Phillips Avenue from basically 6th Street all the way to 2nd Street, we've approved diagonal parking for most of the areas along that stretch now. It's basically the area south of what we have right now, or south of where the kind of the highlighted area is on the east side. South to 6th Street, that's the area that eventually will have additional diagonal parking proposed for it once more expansion's done on the park.
On both sides of the street then?
Yeah, the idea is eventually the whole corridor would have diagonal parking along it on both sides, but we've just brought the pieces as we've been developing the areas.
And then do you have a timeline on when this would happen? It's just in time for Cascades to be complete? Is that what, on this one that we're looking at right now?
Yep, this particular one, it's as they're completing the building and they move parking back onto the regular lanes, then they'll finish up the diagonal parking areas.
Great, thank you.
Good job, Heath. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you, Council. Item 43.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving diagonal parking on Dakota Avenue.
For this resolution, we've been working with the county on trying to come up with some different ways for increasing the parking density in the area around the courthouse. And basically what we're proposing to do is kind of a road diet on Dakota Avenue through the stretch where we're proposing to close what's the westmost and northmost lane around the curve and utilize it to put diagonal parking all along the area, except directly in front of the courthouse. There's an area that won't have parking, but basically we're looking at what we can do to increase parking density through this area.
Thanks, Keith. Did anybody in the audience want to speak to this item? David?
I'm David Zokaitis, and you got to know that. But on all these more parking proposals, it looks like we're losing a little bit of green along the way. Like there's that little bit of space between the road and the sidewalk, and that's getting squished. Well, you know, cities grow and you need more parking, and if we're going to lose a little bit of green, it'd be nice to like plant some trees or something and try to make up for the loss.
Thank you, David.
Nature helps. People are happier when they have more green space, and I thought I'd point that out.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Councilor Neitzert.
Thank you. So along this stretch, besides the painting of lines, are we going to have to do some actual road construction? And if so, who's paying?
On this particular stretch, there is no construction that's needed, and actually, in addressing David's concerns, we're actually taking a lane to do the addition of the parking in this area, so we're not increasing pavement in this particular spot. It's just changing markings for the most part. In the future, there might be like little bump outs or something like that that are done, but it would initially start out as paint through this area.
Okay, and the other thing is, Matt's not here, our parking guy, but would you know what the parking policy is going to be? If it's going to be metered, if it's going to be every 90 minutes, or what they're thinking of doing?
We've been having we've been having conversations with Matt on that specifically.
Carol, do you know?
Yeah.
No.
Let's check and see if Carol knew, if she remembered. We've had conversations. Parts of it are probably still going to be metered, but a lot of the diagonal, I know we're looking at doing some things for, there's some law enforcement parking and we're looking at some possible jury parking things that we want to address and some other things that area. So I wouldn't foresee, as far as having meters, there's probably still going to be meters in parts of it, but there might be some specific parking areas for law enforcement and other things. So,
thanks.
Councilor Rolfing.
Heath, I'm sure I'm looking at this wrong, and you can help me, but it appears to me we've got a one-way going north and then east. Are the lines on the left drawn incorrectly? The slash lines? Because if I'm driving to the north, I'm not going to make a U-turn and make that deal, right? Just wanted to make sure I was looking at this right. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
okay.
That's just how the hatch was drawn.
Hey, we've had worse things happen. Yeah. Thank you.
Good job, buddy. Councilor Rolfing, would you want to make a motion to approve this?
Very happy to.
Thank you.
Second, sorry.
Very good, Council Chair. Thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That's passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 44.
A resolution approving the 2018 audit plan.
Welcome.
Good evening. Amazing. I'm Kim Schroeder, the Internal Audit Manager for the City of Sioux Falls. It looks like Jim has the audit plan up there. I'm here tonight to ask for approval of the 2018 audit plan. And as a reminder, professional standards do require that I remind all of you the city's internal audit department is organizationally independent of the departments and the programs that we audit. Our audit results and recommendations are presented to the city's audit committee for their review and approval at our quarterly meetings. This 2018 plan was presented to the audit committee at our January meeting, and I believe Councilor Rolfing also gave a brief recap last week, so I'll try to keep it kind of short tonight. The 2018 plan includes audits that were identified by internal audit based on an annual risk assessment we do, as well as audit requests that were identified by our administration and council as part of our annual survey. The plan includes audits at the top here that are financial in nature, which do include our P-card program, an audit of employee deductions to payroll, and an audit of travel expenditures. A little bit of the reasoning behind this, the P-card program has grown considerably over the years. We see approximately $5 million in purchases go through there. So we're going to take a look at the internal controls around those transactions and also look at the efficiency of the program to see if there's anything we could be doing better there. Payroll is one of the city's largest expenditures. As you know, we process payroll for about 1,200 full-time employees as well as 500 temporary and seasonal employees. We routinely look at various aspects of the payroll system. This year we're going to focus our audit work on calculations for employee deductions to make sure those are accurate and done correctly. And then the city does spend approximately $1.2 million annually on travel and continuous education for our employees. So we will do an audit focused primarily on compliance with the current travel policy and employee reimbursements that happen through there. And in doing that, we also look at any improvements or efficiencies we can build into that. We've included 2 process audits at management's request. Those are to look at the process over licensing at the landfill and then the billing process for damage recovery for items such as damage to light poles and things like that. And last but not least here, the City Council has had quite a bit of discussion around this, that we begin doing a regular rotation of audits of agreements for management services. So this year we are adding audits for the Great Bear Agreement and the Great Plains Zoo, and then we're going to incorporate the other 4 agreements at a rate of about 2 per year. That way they all get hit about every 3 years. And we've structured that to try to hit them midterm versus at the beginning of a term or right when they're ready to go out for RFP. And then, as always, we do try to leave time in the schedule for ongoing audit activities, our own continuing education that we need as our department, and then special request audits that come up during the year. And just as another reminder, if you do identify an area you'd like us to review, a special request can be made through the audit committee chair, and that'll be presented at the audit committee for approval at that time. So I would open it up to any questions you might have.
Kim, thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who wanted to address this topic? Councilors? Councilor, yes, Councilor Rolfe.
I want to also add that one of the things that Kim has done as audit chair is initiated audit hours, the number of hours it takes to complete different audits. So hopefully within the next year or so we'll have a history of how long an audit should take, so that we can then program in more intense audits, ones that don't take as much time, et cetera, and use the fine personnel that we've got down there in a better way. So I would ask for your support on approving this, and I would move approval.
Second.
Has been a motion and has been seconded. Yes, Councilor Starr.
Ms. Schroeder, I guess my question is, there's a couple of the audits that talk about whether we're getting what we're supposed to receive from the state. Are we able, the bank franchise tax is one that stands out to me, that that for government is one of the hardest things to forecast what that revenue is going to be, because it changes so significantly each year. And I guess my concern is, will we get adequate information from the state because of the secrecy laws that we do have in auditing where that money comes from, to say this individual bank paid this? I mean, I'm trying to get a feel for how that that audit process would work.
Yeah, and that's something we'll have to get into when we get into the audit. We have had good luck right now. We're wrapping up one of the carry forward audits with motor vehicle fee revenue. And I know we've worked with the State Department of Revenue on that to recalculate how they're apportioning that through the county. So I think we will have good luck. If we run into any issues, we'll make that known to the audit committee at that time and try to work through them. But
perfect, thank you.
Councilor Starr, thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Item 45.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing the City Council's direction regarding the use of available cash on hand to be used toward refunding the 2007B sales tax revenue bonds.
Council Chair?
Thank you. I'll be quick with the explanation. This resolution will provide direction to the administration on how to, or how much, if any, of the capital surplus will be used toward the bond refinancing that we just authorized last week. And I will state that it's present, as it's written, it directs the full amount of $3.3 million to be used as it is written now.
Thank you, Council Chair. Before I go to the council, anybody in the audience want to welcome?
I know with this money, we'd all like to buy down our debt, but I guess
could you just introduce yourself,
Tim
please?
Stangen.
Thank you, Tim.
We'd all like to buy down our debt, but I guess the thing is, talking to a lot of the employers in Sioux Falls that I deal with, they're having problems finding qualified help. What I would like to do, and they've suggested, to being able to take so much money and being able to work with the, let's say it's a framing crew or plumbing outfit, for a training course or some kind of training program to be able, for them to be able to hire qualified help. And if we could match dollar for dollar, to be able to get people back to work, get people in better jobs so they can move up, get other people back into the role to just help the employees. Because, yeah, I don't know, I guess workforce, we're pushing workforce more and more all the time. And right now, the thing that I understand is we're lacking qualified help. Being able to come out with qualified help, yeah, we might have to spend a little money to do it, but it's well worth it for the citizens of Sioux Falls. Another thing that I've talked to a few people that are in jail or have got out of jail. They have problems being able to find employment. So what happens to them? They might get out of jail for a couple months and then they're right back in. It's costing us money every day that we have to take care of these people. Being able to go to an employer and say, here's what we'll do. If you hire somebody that has been in jail or does have a record, we will pay some of the fees to be able to take on the person that has been in jail or trying to find an opportunity to better himself or herself. I just think that as a city, we have to give back to the citizens of Sioux Falls. And we have to help the people that, one, can't find jobs or just can't afford to go for that extra 3 months to learn how to weld or learn how to plumb or whatnot. Being able to give them some help and be able to give help to the employers. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Bruce Danielson. I'm still trying to understand if we haven't received any financial statements for the year and any guarantee of what actually is sitting out there, then why are we looking at putting $3.3 million towards something that we don't even know that we have to even start with? So this doesn't make sense. Why do we have to do this today? Why can't we defer it until after we get the financial statements all done? Thanks.
Folks, anybody else? Councilors? Thank you, Councilor Erickson.
Tom, can I have you come up? Can you just explain the $3.3 million, where that's at? That's not from numbers we don't know yet, but it's from specific identified areas. I know we talked a little bit about it, but just so you can reiterate with us exactly where that $3.3 million is coming from. It has nothing to do with closeout of year end, correct?
It does, but we finished this fund. This is a specific fund, the Sales and Use Tax Fund. We went to work on this fund specifically to make sure that our closeout was accurate and that we had financial numbers, which Tracy presented last week, that outlined where that ending available balance would be with this fund.
Okay. Thank you for that. I don't have any other questions for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Chair.
Last week we were presented with a number of options, and option number one would be to use $0 from the available $3.3 million in surplus to pay down the debt. Even with just refinancing without any additional cash, we would realize a $2.3 million savings, just as is. Another option was to apply all of the $3.3 million to paying down the debt, which we would realize an additional 1.7, bringing that up to 3.6. Or we had an option 3, which we could apply 1.5 million of the reserve cash to paying down debt, which we would then still realize the $700,000 additional savings, bringing that up to $3 million total. And to get this afternoon, we did discuss among the council a number of options, from tonight making this $0, amending this from the full 3.3 as it is in this resolution to 0, or anything in between. So get the ball rolling, I'm going to propose that we do use $1.5 million to direct that to pay down the debt. That remaining $1.8 then could either be left in reserve or used by the council as it deems fit at a future date. We do not need to discuss any kind of projects at this point in time. Our role this evening is to make the determination of how much money we're going to use out of the 3.3 to pay down the debt. And my original proposal here, amendment is to amend it down from the 3.3 to 1.5.
Mr. Mayor, I would move approval on this item so that it can
Thank
be
you.
amended.
There's been a motion.
I just moved approval on the item itself.
Thank you.
Second, Erickson.
Very good. There's been a motion to approve this resolution, and it has been seconded. A motion to amend. Council Chair.
Now I do move to amend from the 3.3 to 1.5.
And I would second that,
There's
Mr.
a
Mayor.
motion to second that. Any discussion? Council Chair, or Council Rolfing.
I'll just reiterate what I said this afternoon, and that is, good financial planning says you do some reserve, you take care of your insurance, you put things together, you pay off debt next. And I think that's probably the way that I'm leaning, is to do the whole amount towards the debt. For another reason is that we have adequate reserves, and if we're setting the next council up for a fight somewhere down the line, because I want a bicycle trail and another one wants a indoor ice skating rink. And so I just, as the old man in the group, I'm saying, watch it, folks. Watch it.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I just want to make one point. As we discussed earlier at our informational, just to say it again, it was said by another counselor that I appreciated the research, that our financial stability is still really where we're at before. And last year when we had a little over $900,000 left over for capital, this is not operating, this is capital, it was suggested to save that and carry it forward. And so I support the amendment because we are saving some and bringing it forward. If we have additional projects that come in higher, we've got that. If our financial forecast doesn't increase any better, we've got some extra there as well. And so I support it for that reason. We don't have to make the decision right away. If we want to make the decision next month on specific projects, we can certainly do that based on what Director Cotter stated with bidding. However, I think that it's good to pay down some of this debt. The timing is right for it, but then let's also be a little careful and cautious as far as using the whole amount and saving some of that in case some of these bids come in a little bit higher and we can continue to get those projects done.
Sorry, before I go back to the Council Chair, anybody else? Council Chair?
And Mayor, I was just going to say that this afternoon we'd heard suggestions ranging from $0 to debt to the full amount. I'm simply trying to identify some middle ground, some common ground, so that we can move forward with this.
Any roll call vote, please. Oh, Councilor
I just want to make sure that I think what Councilor Kiley was saying is that he wanted to replace the words available cash to 1.5 million. That would be the proper way to do this?
Tom?
That's how I understand it.
Okay. Those are the words that would be taken out, and 1.5 would be, okay.
Instead of 3.3, it'd be 1.5.
Right.
Correct.
Good job. Does that sound good?
It does. It's in the heading and in the body.
Good job.
Probably
Right.
need the amendment.
Thank you. A roll call vote, please.
On the amended motion, council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
No.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 6-1. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilor Neitzert.
Since I was called out, I guess I will just say that I originally was thinking of putting all of it towards the debt. That was my first knee jerk. And as I thought about it, I thought, we put some towards the debt. And I just thought, looking back, one of the things that Director Turbach had said at the beginning of 2017, I think it was, we had $962,000 in capital reserve, and he encouraged us to bank that money as a hedge with slowing sales tax revenue, and so we could see what would happen. And I think we're still kind of on the same trajectory. We're kind of waiting to see what will happen. And I also think that, as I've thought about it, it's not a bad thing to give the next administration just a little wiggle room. I don't want a gigantic pot of money because, as I discussed at 4 o'clock, capital projects go up quickly in cost. So if you keep millions in the bank, you're losing money. But giving them a little bit of a pat so when they come into office that, you know, some crisis doesn't hit or something doesn't bust and there's just a little bit of wiggle room. I think that's a responsible thing to do.
A roll call, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
No.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 6-1. Thank you. Item 46.
Item 46, a proposed resolution vacating a portion of the 60-foot section line right-of-way north and south of the east-west quarter line of sections 2 and 3, Township 101 North, Range 49 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
Kurt Peppel, Public Works Engineering. Items 46 and 47 kind of go together. This is 2 right-of-way vacations in the Wexford addition, which is near East Benson Road, south of Benson Road, and east of Interstate 229. You can see on the map where the 2 right-of-way vacations are, one north and south right next to the interstate, one's a little bit more towards the center of the page. And then just for reference, that site out there is the new Gage Brothers precast plant. So just kind of reference.
Kurt, thank you. Oh, go ahead. Is any more on 46, buddy?
46, they've followed state law. Procedures have all been followed. No neighborhood meeting. The right-of-way, the section line right-of-way is not improved at this point. And engineering supports the vacation.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it. Would anybody want to set a hearing date for Tuesday, March 13th for this item?
So moved, Rolfing.
Thank you, Councilor.
Second.
Seconded as well. Thank you by the Council Chair. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Thank you. That has passed 7-0. Item 47.
A proposed resolution vacating the East 34th Street north right-of-way from the west right-of-way line to North Bonson Avenue to the west, a distance of 1,037.90 feet.
Great.
Like I said, this is a similar location to 46, east of I-229, south of Benson Road. South Dakota codified law has been followed. City engineering vacation policy has been followed. There was no neighborhood meeting out there. If the vacation is approved, there will be no easement for public or private utilities. This right-of-way is no longer needed due to the realignment of Bonson Avenue, which is accommodating the new Gage Brothers site out there. Engineering supports the vacation.
Thanks, Kurt. Councilor, do you want to set a hearing date for Tuesday, March 13th for this item?
So moved.
Second.
Councilor has made that motion, seconded by Councilor Rolfing. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you. Councilors, any more discussion?
Move to adjourn, Star.
Second. Erickson.
Councilor Starr has made a motion to adjourn this meeting, seconded by Councilor Vice Chair Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Sioux Falls, make it a great, great night.